More than reluctant agreement, let me begin by telling you something you've likely forgotten, or perhaps no one ever told you plainly. You were not born to be average. You were not created to bow your head in the presence of someone else's greatness while doubting your own. From the moment you took your first breath, the universe placed within you a power so vast, so unshakable, that no man, no circumstance, no rejection has ever had the right to take it away. But here's what happens. Life piles on. The world begins to whisper in your ear. You're not good enough. You don't come from the right family. You didn't go to the right school. And before long, you begin to believe those voices, even though they are lying to you. The truth, you are equipped with everything you need to become something extraordinary. Not tomorrow, not 10 years from now. Right now, you do not need permission, and you certainly do not need to wait. A reluctant agreement. There is a difference between potential and power, and the bridge between the two is belief. You see, most people will live and die with their potential still locked inside them, not because they lack talent or intelligence, but because they never believed they were worthy of unleashing it. You have seen it, haven't you? The ones who rise, the ones who walk into a room like they own it, who speak like their voice matters. They are not better than you, not smarter, not more gifted. What they possess is a relentless, immovable belief in themselves, the kind that makes other people start to believe them too. That belief isn't magic, it's built, every day, brick by brick, decision by decision. You must decide that the limits you've accepted were illusions, taught to you by people who gave up on their own dreams. And with that realization comes responsibility. You are responsible for waking up your potential, not your parents, not your past. I've seen men who grew up with nothing become giants in business, in politics, in influence. I've seen women, dismissed and overlooked for years, stand up and command the world with nothing but fire in their eyes and conviction in their voice. Do you know what they all had in common? They chose to stop underestimating themselves. Let me ask you something directly. When did you stop thinking you could do something great? When did the dream go from a fire to a flicker? And more importantly, why did you let it? Because the minute you start believing that someone else is better than you, more deserving, more capable, you hand over your power. And my friend, you were not meant to live life begging for scraps of recognition from others. You were meant to create, to build, to inspire, to lead. There is no blueprint for greatness because greatness is personal. You were not designed to copy someone else's path. You were meant to blaze your own trail, and the fire to do that. It's already inside you. It's been there all along. Look back on your life for a moment. I guarantee there have been times when you surprised even yourself, when you pushed through something you didn't think you could. That wasn't luck. That was you, tapping into your real strength, the kind that never left, but that you sometimes forget is there. And let me remind you, your value is not based on what others see. It's based on what you choose to become. You don't need applause to be worthy. You don't need validation to rise. You don't need a stage to starting like you belong on one. Every time you act as if you are the best, not arrogantly, but with purpose. You are training your mind to recognize your worth. You are teaching the world how to treat you, and you are stepping into the version of yourself that you were always meant to be. So if today, all you have is a spark, protect it, feed it, and then turn it into an unstoppable blaze. No one is better than you, and the moment you understand that, your whole life will change. Confidence, the word alone stirs something in people, admiration, envy, sometimes even discomfort. But let me tell you something most people never realize. Confidence is not something you're born with. It's not a talent passed down from your parents or a lucky trait granted by fate. Confidence is a decision. You choose to believe in yourself or you choose to doubt yourself. And every time you choose doubt, you reinforce it, until it becomes a habit, a way of living, a prison you built with your own hands. But the same is true in the other direction. Every time you choose belief, even when it's shaky, even when your hands tremble and your voice shakes, you're laying a brick in the foundation of unstoppable confidence. People often ask, how do I get confidence? They want a shortcut. They want a secret formula. And here it is. Act like the person you want to become before the world sees you that way. Do not wait for approval, applause, or permission. You do not need to be perfect to walk tall. You simply need to understand who you are and decide that it is enough. Now let me be clear. This kind of confidence is not arrogance. It's not shouting over others or pretending you know everything. But true confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself. It shows up, speaks clearly, and walks with intention. It doesn't boast, but it doesn't shrink either. It commands respect, not by force, but by presence. You can develop that presence. In fact, it's your duty to do so. Because if you don't, the world will define your worth for you. It will place you beneath those who speak louder, move faster, and believe harder. Not because they're better, but because they've decided to carry themselves like they belong at the top. Confidence begins in the mind, but it shows in your walk, your tone, your eyes, your posture. It's in the way you enter a room, the way you shake a hand, the way you say your name. And make no mistake, people feel it. They sense it before you speak, and they respond to it, consciously or not. I've seen brilliant individuals hide in the shadows because they didn't believe they deserved the light. I've seen talented minds wait their whole lives for someone to tell them, it's your turn. They never realized they could have claimed that turn anytime they wanted. You cannot outsource belief. No mentor, no book, no opportunity will make you believe in yourself until you've made the internal decision that you are worth believing in. You are the author of that belief. No one else can write that chapter for you. And yes, I know what some of you are thinking, but I've failed. I've made mistakes. I've been rejected. Let me tell you something, the most confident people in the world have failed more than you, but they made a decision not to be defined by their defeats. They turned every fall into a stepping stone, every loss into a lesson, every doubt into fuel. Confidence is built in moments when no one is watching, when you show up even though your hands are shaking, when you speak even though your voice cracks, when you take a step forward even though the ground isn't certain. That's when confidence is born, and over time, those moments compound. They become part of you. So if you're waiting to feel ready, you'll be waiting forever. Confidence doesn't come from being ready, it comes from moving anyway. The world belongs to those who believe they belong. The opportunities go to the ones who ask, who raise their hand, who step up when others hesitate. Not because they're better, but because they've made a different choice. The choice to show up as if they already are who they're becoming. And maybe, just maybe, that's the point. To act as if you are already enough, because you are. To walk as if you've already arrived, because your destination is waiting for you to believe in it. Do not let fear dress itself up as humility. Shrinking yourself doesn't make others more comfortable, it only makes you smaller, and you were never meant to play small. You were meant to take up space, to stand tall, to influence, to impact, to inspire. So don't ask the world if you're enough. Tell it, show it, prove it with every word, every move, every decision, not out of arrogance, but out of understanding that your presence matters. You want to change your life. Start with how you carry yourself. Confidence is not the reward at the end of success, it's the fuel that gets you there. Remember, no one is better than you. They just decided to believe before you did. Now it's your turn. If you're done waiting for permission to be great, hit that like button and start acting like it. There's a quiet thief that robs more dreams than failure ever could. It doesn't shout, it doesn't break down the door, it simply whispers, and we listen. That thief is comparison. You were born with a mind capable of imagining worlds, solving problems, shaping industries, yet far too often, you let that magnificent mind be shackled by the idea that someone else is ahead of you. Someone else has done it better. Someone else has what you want, and so you believe you're behind, unqualified, or worse, unworthy. Let me tell you something that most people never hear. You will never find your greatness by looking at someone else's path. The moment you take your eyes off your own journey to measure it against someone else's, you lose clarity. You lose momentum, you lose your identity. Now, don't misunderstand me. It's fine to admire others, it's natural to be inspired, but inspiration is not the same as comparison. Inspiration says, if they can, I can. Comparison says, if they already did, there's no room for me. And that's a lie. There is room for you. There is space for your voice, your vision, your way of doing things. In fact, that space can only be filled by you, because what you bring to this world, your experiences, your values, your struggles, your fire, is completely and unapologetically unique. But here's what happens. You scroll, you watch, you see highlight reels presented as reality, and without realizing it, you start to question your progress. Why am I not there yet? Why is their journey faster, sheenier, easier? You take all of who you are and weigh it against a moment in someone else's life, and then judge yourself harshly for not measuring up. But that is not fair, because you're comparing their chapter 20 to your chapter 3. You're measuring their spotlight moment against your preparation phase, and you forget that every person you admire has walked through dark valleys you never saw, faced doubts they never posted, fought battles behind closed doors that nearly broke them. What you're really seeing is the result of belief, persistence, and time, and all three of those are available to you right now. The truth is, the greatest enemy of your progress is not failure, it's distraction. And comparison is the most subtle distraction of all. It convinces you to slow down just to watch someone else run. But when you do that, you give up your pace, you give up your rhythm, and worst of all, you begin to mimic instead of lead. You were not born to be a copy. You are not a second version of someone else's dream. You are an original, and with that comes the responsibility to stay focused on your own lane. Every second you spend wondering how someone else did it is a second stolen from how you could be doing it. Every time you doubt your value because of someone else's visibility, you forget that visibility doesn't equal worth. There are people far less qualified doing what you dream of, not because they're better, but because they refuse to compare. They committed, while others hesitated. Do not fall into the trap of measuring success with someone else's ruler. You have your own timeline, your own milestones, your own pace. Progress is personal. And if you want to build something that lasts, something meaningful, you must build it on the foundation of who you really are, not on the shifting sand of someone else's success. This world needs your authenticity, not your imitation. And let me say this plainly, the only person you need to be better than is the version of yourself from yesterday. That's it. If you're improving, you're winning. If you're learning, you're progressing. And if you're still in the game, you're not behind. You're just becoming. So the next time you catch yourself wondering if you're good enough or fast enough or far enough along, stop and ask, compared to who? Because the truth is, you only need to compare yourself to your own potential. That's the only measure that matters. Everything else is noise. Shut out the noise. Tune into your mission. Protect your focus like your future depends on it, because it does. And if no one told you this today, let me be the one: you are not late. You are not lacking. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. If you stop looking sideways and start moving forward, if you're ready to stop comparing and start creating, hit that like button and take back your focus. Let me remind you of something that this world often causes us to forgetting: there has never been and will never be another you. That is not a poetic sentiment. It is a truth that carries immense power if you're bold enough to accept it. You see, we live in a world that constantly tries to mold us, shape us, box us into categories, into roles, into what's normal or what's expected. From the time we are children, we are taught to fit in, to follow, to color inside the lines. But I will tell you now, you were not born to blend in. You were born to stand out. The very thing that makes you different, the part of you that you've tried to hide, suppress, or fix, to gain acceptance, that may be the exact key to your greatness. And yet most people will spend their entire lives trying to trade their uniqueness for approval, their originality for acceptance, their identity for popularity, and in doing so, they silence the most powerful thing they possess. There is no one on this planet who thinks exactly like you. No one who feels exactly what you feel. No one who has seen the world through your precise lens, walked through your exact pain, or dreamed your exact dream. That perspective, that lens, is not a flaw. It is a gift. But the world will try to convince you otherwise. It will tell you to tone it down, play it safe, stay in line, be more like them, and you'll be tempted, because conformity is comfortable. It's easy, but greatness is never born in comfort, and legacy is never built by imitation. The people who leave a mark on the world, the real pioneers, the leaders, the innovators, they never asked for permission to be different. They knew that their uniqueness wasn't a weakness to be corrected, but a strength to be cultivated. They dared to believe that what set them apart was what made them valuable, and I want you to dare to believe the same. Stop hiding your story. Stop downplaying your voice. Stop apologizing for being the way you are. You do not need to be louder, softer, faster, prettier, richer, or more polished to be worthy of being heard. You simply need to be real. You want to know why so many people feel unfulfilled, even after chasing the things they thought would make them successful? It's because they spent their lives building someone else's dream, wearing someone else's mask, walking someone else's path, and they wake up one day wondering why the world doesn't feel right. It's because they were never living as themselves. You are not here to repeat what's already been done. You are here to create something only you can build, and that starts by owning every part of yourself. The strengths, the scars, the quirks, the fire, the flaws, all of it. Your full self is your full power. Let me make this clear. The world does not need more copies. It needs more originals. It needs people like you to stop editing themselves to fit the mold and start embracing themselves to reshape the mold entirely. The mold is broken anyway, because the future belongs to the bold, not the obedient. So instead of asking, how can I be more like them? Ask yourself, how can I be more of who I am? Because when you step into who you truly are, something shifts. Your energy changes. Your presence becomes undeniable. People may not understand it, and that's fine. It's not for them to understand. Your authenticity will attract the right people, the right opportunities, and the right moments, not by force, but by alignment. Do not shrink to make others comfortable. Do not dim to make others feel bright. You were given your light for a reason, so use it, shine it, and do it unapologetically. What if the very thing you've been hiding is the reason someone else will find their courage? What if your story, your voice, your way of seeing the world is the spark someone else needs to rise? That is how powerful your uniqueness truly is. Your job is not to be the next anyone. Your job is to be the first and only you, fully, fearlessly, and without compromise, because when you stand tall in your truth, the world takes notice, and more importantly, you begin to live a life that feels like your own. You're not here to perform, you're here to become, and once you start becoming, fully and authentically, that's when you'll realize something incredible. You were never lacking. You were never too much. You were never off track. Agreement. You were simply trying to be what the world wanted, instead of what you already are. It's time to stop hiding. It's time to start owning. Because your uniqueness isn't a problem to solve. It's the answer you've been searching for all along. Belief is not a luxury. It's not a bonus or a feel-good emotion reserved for moments of success. Belief is the foundation, the root, the engine of every action that builds something meaningful. Without belief, you will hesitate. Without belief, you will second guess. Without belief, you will quit. But with it, you become unstoppable. You see, most people think action creates belief. They say, when I succeed, then I'll believe in myself. When I get the result, then I'll be confident. But that thinking is backward. It's not success that creates belief. It's belief that creates success. The man who walks into the room with certainty, the woman who speaks with fire, the leader who moves forward when everyone else is still thinking. They aren't reacting to proof, they are acting from belief. That belief becomes a force that fuels their decisions, their discipline, their persistence. And that's what separates those who wait from those who win. I've seen countless people with talent, with knowledge, with incredible potential, but they stay stuck. Why? Because they don't believe they're ready. They don't believe they're worthy. They don't believe they'll be taken seriously, and so they stay silent. They stay small. They delay the very life they were born to live, all because of a missing belief. Now I want you to understand something very clearly. Belief is not something you find, it's something you build, brick by brick, decision by decision. Every time you show up when it's easier to quit, every time you speak up when doubt tells you to be quiet, you are building belief. You are proving to yourself that you have what it takes. Not someday, but today. And here's the truth no one likes to say out loud. People don't follow talent, they follow belief. They follow certainty. They are drawn to those who walk like they already know where they're going. Not because the path is clear, but because they've decided to walk it no matter what. That kind of conviction creates gravity. It pulls people in. It opens doors. It commands respect. You don't need to be the best to act like it. You need to believe like it. Because when you believe in yourself, you carry yourself differently. You ask for more. You take risks. You stop apologizing for having dreams that scare small minds. And most importantly, you keep going. There will be days you doubt yourself. There will be times when nothing seems to be working. But in those moments, if you can find even a flicker of belief, you can keep moving. And that movement will lead to momentum. That momentum will lead to growth. And eventually, the world will catch up to what you already knew you were always capable. Belief doesn't raise fear. It overrides it. It gives you the courage to act even when your knees are shaking. It tells you, yes, this might fail, but you're going anyway. Because doing something imperfectly with belief will always get you further than waiting to do it perfectly with doubt. I've watched people with less experience, less education, less money outwork and outlast the ones who seem to have every advantage. And the reason is simple. They believed it was possible, reluctant agreement, and that belief gave them the stamina to endure what others couldn't. They didn't see obstacles as final. They saw them as part of the process. Agreement. Let me tell you something that will change the way you see yourself forever. You do not need external validation to take internal action. You don't need the crowd to clap before you speak. You don't need the approval of doubters to start building. You only need a deep, stubborn belief that you have something worth doing, and that you're the one to do it. You are the vessel. You are the channel. You are the force that turns a dream into reality, but only if you believe it before anyone else does. Don't wait for the world to catch up. Lead it. Don't wait for certainty. Create it, then reluctant agreement, and don't wait for permission. Act now, because every delay strengthens doubt, and every action, no matter how small, strengthens belief. You'll be tempted to wait until you're ready, but readiness is a myth. The truth is, you become ready by moving, by trying, by falling and standing again. That is where belief becomes unshakable. Not in success, but in motion. Belief lives in momentum, so let them doubt you. Let them question your path. Just make sure you don't join them. You've got work to do. You've got something to build. And belief is the fuel that will carry you through every storm, every silence, every setback. You don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. You just need to believe the next step is yours to take. One of the greatest lies ever told is that you need someone else's permission to step into greatness, that you need to be chosen, that you need a green light from the world before you begin. And so, many never start. They hope. They ask, am I ready? Am I allowed? Do I have the right? But I tell you this with all the conviction in my soul, you do not need permission to be great. You need a decision. A decision to stop standing in the shadows of other people's approval. A decision to walk toward your calling even if no one claps. A decision to honor your potential, whether or not others recognize it yet. Because the truth is, most people never rise. Not because they lack ability, but because they're still waiting for a signal that will never come. They wait for their parents to believe in them, for their boss to see their value, for their friends to finally understand. They wait for society to say, now it's your turn. And while they wait, their fire goes cold, their dreams collect dust, their time, their most precious resource, slips away. But you have a choice. You can break that pattern. You can rise now, not because the world says you can, but because you say you will. And hear me when I say this, no one can give you greatness. It cannot be handed to you. It must be claimed. You must reach out and seize it, not with arrogance but with certainty. Not because you've already done it, but because you know you can. There will be critics. There will be doubters. But don't let the small minds of others convince you to shrink your vision. It is not their job to believe in you. That's your job. Their disbelief is not your burden. Their fear is not your forecast. Their limits are not your destiny. You don't need a certificate to declare yourself capable. You don't need applause to begin. You need courage, the kind that says, I will build this even if no one sees it yet. I will walk this path even if I walk alone at first. I will be the first to believe, because belief starts with me. You are not here to audition for approval. You are here to lead, to build, to shape the world with your mind, your voice, your action. And leadership does not ask, am I allowed? Leadership steps forward and creates the path. Too many people live small because they're afraid to be seen trying. They fear judgment more than they fear regret. But let me tell you something, the judgment of others will fade, but the pain of a dream unlived will haunt you for life. There is no committee sitting around deciding whether you are worthy of success. You were born worthy. The question is not whether you deserve it. The question is whether you'll claim it, whether you'll stop waiting to be discovered and instead start becoming undeniable. Do not mistake humility for hesitation. Playing small does not make you noble, it makes you invisible. The world does not benefit from your silence. It is not helped by your doubt. The world is lifted by those bold enough to be who they truly are. You don't need someone to tell you you're chosen. You need to choose yourself. Right here. Right now. You want to know the secret. The ones at the top. The ones you admire. They didn't wait for permission either. They were not born into greatness. They simply stopped asking if they were enough and started showing the world they already were. They moved before the moment felt perfect. They acted before the fear was gone. They made a decision, not to try but to become. So let them talk, let them question, let them laugh if they must. That noise is temporary, but what you build with courage, that becomes legacy. You are behind, you are not late, you are not lacking, you are ready. Not because everything is perfect, but because you've decided to begin. The moment you stop waiting for someone to say, go, is the moment you start winning. Life does not reward those who wait, it rewards those who act, who move, who decide. The only permission you've ever needed is your own, and now you have it. If you're ready to stop asking for permission and start owning your greatness, hit that like button, and make the decision today.